All right. Good morning, everybody. We are live on our third episode, but episode 1 with Crystal. Welcome, Crystal.
Hello, everyone. Thank you.
All right. So we're super excited for this process. We're getting great feedback from both Joey and Alan's episodes. And, Crystal's been watching and studying and seeing kind of what's happening. So she has the upper hand advantage from that perspective in a few more days as well, but it'll all even out in the long run. Before we get too far into this, if you haven't already, do us a favor. And if you're not watching on YouTube, make sure you are subscribed to us because we're putting all that content out there, really pushing that channel, getting a lot of growth on that, getting a lot of great feedback as well. A lot of stuff happening there, so appreciate everybody doing that. Second thing I really want to do is, we're really paying attention to who's logging in, who's following us on this process. So do me a favor. Drop in the comments where you're logged on from and how long you've been in transportation as well. Appreciate that. And those usually take a couple minutes to come through. But your teammate Joey has already put in their pre-launch of the Go Crystal. So appreciate that, Joey.
Thank you.
So one of the things I want to talk about is, what was the impetus for this process? And, I shared it last episode, but we're getting a lot of new people. So I think it's worth reiterating that we have to go back to 2003. And when I started in trucking, I was working at a shipper doing the traffic and shipping department, leading that, and then went to work for a trucking company. And one of the things that happened my first day is, you do your paperwork and everything because we didn't really have online stuff then. So you do that. Second thing was, there's your desk, get to work. And I was like, okay, any training? They're like, yeah, we'll train you on the fly. And, that just sticks in my mind because I was like, wow, really? What do you want me to do? And it was basically do what I say or do what I tell you to do. And, just from a new employee feeling, that's a really hard feeling I can't talk this morning. You're not welcomed. And I think that's a really hard way to start any new job. And we just wanted to make sure with this group that we weren't doing that, and with anybody for that matter. So Crystal, maybe give me a little bit of history as far as, your work history prior to B2B transportation and then how you found us.
Well, I found you on LinkedIn. I saw that there was a job. I did a little bit of research on the company, and through employee reviews and customer reviews, you guys have a pretty good reputation. And from that, I put in an application and then messaged Chad like, hey, I'd love to set up an interview and learn more about your company. And this is knowing like absolutely nothing about transportation industry. So it's really it felt like a long shot. But it also did say training available. So I was like really hopeful in that. And so I think that my skills that transfer would be a lot of customer service, like a lot of sales or merchandising or like the different jobs that I've had in brand ambassador or, brand awareness is really going to help kind of transfer over here to where I'm dealing with customers or I'm trying to build awareness on what we're doing here. I think it's going to be really exciting. I think it's a lot easier to tell people about things that you know about, though. So I have so much learning to do.
Yeah, that's a great point. So you mentioned that it was a long shot. So what made you go ahead and put your application in?
Oh, I like, small odds are still great odds. I feel like even if it's barely a yes, there's still a possibility. So, that's just in my nature to go for the long shots. I've bet on the underdog and I usually come up. So
that's great. So you mentioned your work history is going to help you with this, maybe go more in detail. Like what did you do prior and what roles are really going to prepare you for this?
Okay, so in customer service in that capacity, I worked at the airport. In the airlines, there's a lot of rescheduling of their flights, and people are a little upset not getting to where they need to go. I can imagine that there would be the same sense of urgency and the same things happening in transportation as far as freight and goods as well. So just having that um, clarity of just staying calm under pressure and focusing on solutions, I think was really going to help. And I've done food service and I've done a few other things that helps me just kind of multitask and keep the big picture in focus.
Yeah, definitely. And that was more private as well, right? The airlines? Private?
Well, I did commercial airlines and then
Okay.
I transferred over to general aviation as well. So I've been able to see kind of both sides of that amazing world.
Yeah.
And I do love general aviation. So working with smaller jets and private pilots, and it was quite fun. Yes.
That's
And then
awesome.
we also did military and some other, customers as well. So it was neat. Taking care of people. That's all it is.
That's all it is,
Favorite
right?
thing.
Cool. Well, I'm going to do a quick plug. So if you've been wanting to do or purchase Broker Dude, Broker Babe, Trucker Dude, Trucker Babe, merchandise, we're going to do something a little fun at the end of the show. So if you're on at the end of the show, what we're going to do is we're going to put a discount code. I'll put it on the screen and you enter that. It's only available for the first 5 people because it's $50 off of an order that's $100 or more. So, obviously we're giving away most of that, but really appreciate the support we're seeing on that. And since I'm on Broker Dude, one of the things that I usually share during the show is that we're giving 10% of the profits from any purchases, all purchases, to Broker Carrier Summit and sponsoring carriers to attend that. And Chad and I are going to be back there at that event in Dallas, Fort Worth. The next one's in April. I'm not sure if they've announced where it's at yet, but our goal is to get as many carriers to that because as a broker, we need those carriers. And, I really like what they're doing with that organization because they're bringing smaller carriers and they're bringing brokers and really forming those relationships. So pretty awesome. And then if people have questions as we go along, drop those in the comments. I really appreciate that. I'm going to give a quick shout out to a gentleman, Max. We've been chatting a little bit back and forth, and I learned this after chatting with him. He actually worked with Steve Plunk years ago. So Steve, Max is tuned in here and paying attention. So just appreciate you following Max, and hopefully we're giving you some value. So going back to you, Crystal, we talked about how you found us. Started basically a week ago on the 30th.
Yeah.
Maybe walk us through what that's looked like. So now we're almost a week and a half in, and kind of just describe some of the high moments or some of the things that stick out for you.
Okay. We've gone on 2 field trips to the truck stop, and I think it's fun being able to go out into the field in a new job and just kind of get a feel for the different trucks that there are. We were able to talk to truckers, get a sense of kind of their struggles and what they're looking for, and just learning the styles of trucks and how we can move different materials has been enlightening because, like I said, I really didn't know a whole lot coming into this, so it's been really neat. And so from our different field trips that we've done, we've also been going through a training series online, doing Grant Cardone training. And I really like that. It's simple. You have a short video to watch and then you answer some questions to see that you're really retaining the knowledge. So that's cool. And then we also have rallies. Every few days we can get on and kind of ask questions and do our pitch and go through different things that we have questions on. So it's been really helpful in kind of the getting support, even though it's a lot of it's pre-recorded. There's still live engagement, and there's still a chance to kind of ask questions and get answers there.
That's
so that's
great.
Really cool.
And
then
sorry.
We also run with Steve and the guys. We do our own kind of touch base on the different strategies and how we would do things, the process and policies here.
Great. On that Grant Cardone training, what is something that, has really stuck out to you or that you think is going to be valuable as we start on this process from baby broker to boss broker?
Well, I found that I knew a lot about sales. I do know quite a bit, which I was kind of surprised because I didn't ever think that I was a salesman.
Yeah.
And he said everybody is a salesman.
Yep.
In any place that you go, you've done selling in one way or another. So I did. I sold magazines and I sold meat, and I've done it a few times, door to door. It was great.
Yeah.
But there is so much that I didn't know, and especially in calling, because I've never done phone sales.
Mm-hmm.
So to have that extra training to get really fluent in that is important, because I have a very small window. They don't see my face. My words have to be very mindful.
Yeah, they do.
And it's different because when you walk up to a door, you can gauge your customer. In the first, by the flags they have, the equipment they have, the trucks, whatever, decorations, you can already know what kind of magazines they're going to get, or if they're going to want steak or chicken. It's something that you already see and you learn over time. You're like, I'm going to pass this house. They don't want mine.
Yeah.
So it's something that I've learned in that, and I know I can learn here.
I think some great parallels on that for, as you were talking, that got me thinking is doing your research before you're reaching out to a customer and knowing, because you're not going to see that, right? But you can, they have an online presence, most likely a LinkedIn or a company website, and we can go there and we can do that research and find, what articles have come out, anything like that. And so it's just a different way to do that research. But I think that's a great insight to anybody that's in sales is we have to know who our prospect is and why they would need or want our service. And, I shared this recently in a, on LinkedIn somewhere, or somebody had made a post. And if people are using transportation and we're not sharing our services, I feel like we're doing a disservice, because what if we can offer them better service or better pricing or just more consistent communication that ultimately is going to help them, win business with their customers? Because in transportation, a lot of times it's kind of an afterthought. I worked in a manufacturing company, so I kind of know that from that standpoint. Right. So there's not a lot of maybe value from the top down, but the shipping folks know, like, hey, we get yelled at if we do wrong. If we do a great job, we don't hear anything. So coming to our customers or potential customers with that idea of like, hey, we can help you with these things. And maybe there are things they didn't even think about. But once we point them out, they go, hey, I never thought of it that way. I think, I really appreciate you thinking about that. And that's going to give customers or potential customers value, because we're thinking about their business in a way that maybe they aren't. And that's huge. So awesome. We're getting a lot of comments about where everybody is. We've got people from Denver, obviously here in Medford. Vanessa, looks like, I think you may be first-time listener. Appreciate you logging in from Georgia, 2 years in the business. So thank you. We got several around Oregon, California. Joey's got your partner here's got, what advice can you give to future baby brokers? You're a week and a half in. So with all this experience, what would you give to somebody that's just starting?
With my whole week of experience, just pay attention. There's a lot. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, that's good. No, just pay attention. So I've asked the other two this, but I really like the value of this question. And think back in your life, like a great coach, mentor. This could be a person that you worked with, could be a family member, however, you came across them. Share a story about the relationship and how they really impacted you. And are you guys still in touch today?
Okay. I feel like I have two great mentors and women who have helped to shape, my thoughts in the world and the way I approach it. Lana Lee is been friends for a long time. We still chat once in a while. She's really just helped me kind of build my relationship with other people and with my God, and that's really special to me. And then Georgia Bunn, she was more of a mentor than a manager every time. Family, but still very professional. Just helped me shape the way that I feel about time and money, and the way that I want those things to work in my life.
Yeah.
So it was really big.
That's good. So looking at those mentors, was there a specific time that they went from being maybe a coworker or a friend to that, a better relationship? And was there some advice that they gave you that kind of switched in your mind, like, hey, this person really wants the best for me? So you have more details on that?
I think what holds a lot of weight when you listen. So even if you don't have advice, even if you don't have an answer or a fix, being there to hear all the things is so big.
Yeah, that's a great point.
They've also had really, really great advice, but just giving me that space is really special.
I think that is one of those qualities that we've all heard it, but you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. And, listening is a skill. And, I remember back a conversation that my wife and I had, and we've this is how we handle this now, is like, are you looking to just share, or do you want me to give you advice on, or how do you want this conversation to go? Because, if she's telling me her day and I'm trying to solve her problem and that's not what she wants or needs,
right?
I'm not listening, where I'm in business mode and it's like, hey, I can help you solve that. And she's like, no, I just want you to listen. I'm just sharing. And so I think that's the power of that question, whether it's with coworkers, people you manage, family members, is so important. And don't be afraid to ask that, because the person on the other end of that, and it goes the same with customers, right? Because if we're interrupting the customer, or we think we have solutions and we're way off the mark, we're never going to have a chance. So, and Tiffany actually dropped it in the comments, is don't listen to respond, listen to understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is so critical in anything we do. And you're going to have better relationships. And, you just pointed out that that's why you look back to them as mentors, because they were great listeners. So I think that's very valuable and great information. All right. Sean Matthews just dropped in here. What is Crystal's best icebreaker? Putting you on the spot.
What is my best icebreaker? I don't know. My positivity is my best icebreaker. I will find a silver lining on every cloud.
Yeah. Well, I think for you, it's you're a natural people person. You're not afraid to just engage with people, and that's kind of your personality. So I don't even think you necessarily need an icebreaker, because I've seen you many times. You just talk to people, and so that's a great skill to have. So it's, it's more your personality is that icebreaker, I would say. So great question, Sean. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Sean.
So two trips to the truck stop. We talked about that. We went last week. You went this morning with Wayne. What was something that stuck out with you? Because I wasn't there today. I had some things I had to take care of before we did this. But what is something that stuck out to you this morning with Wayne?
Well, we found that there are drop axles. I forgot what they were called though.
So is it a strut axle?
Tag axles.
Like
tag, you're it. Yep. So it gets too heavy. They have additional axles, tires that never get used that they can drop down, and it adds, additional, weight allotments to their load, which is pretty cool.
That's really become a lot more popular. I'd say probably the last 10 years. I know, my previous job at the asset-based company, that was something we had a 4-axle fleet, both truck and trailer, and they had a lift axle on both, because if you're not hauling the weight, you just lift it up. Especially in Oregon, those of you don't know, if you're running Oregon, they charge you PUCs for every axle that is on the ground. So it's not a huge savings, but it's less wear and tear on the tires, plus the PUCs. So just a bunch of random knowledge about Oregon trucking. And did you get a chance to talk to drivers today as well? Or were they busy?
We got to talk to a few, but it was early. They were busy. It was brief.
Yeah. Right on. and just Wayne took you over there, a little bit about Wayne, and what we're trying to do with our team is really give experience from a lot of people. I have 20 something years. Wayne has way more than me. He was a driver, works for an asset-based company, and has been here over 10 years now. So he has a great amount of knowledge that, he loves to share. And so we're introducing our team, to myself, to Wayne, to Steve, anybody on our team that's going to be able to share that knowledge and just help. And one of the things that I always talk about when you're hiring people in an organization is they need people that they feel comfortable going to and asking those questions when they need those questions answered. So it's important, if you're leading a team, if you're training people, make those connections where it's not scary. And part of that training process is so important because, I want people, when they work for B2B transportation, to be able to go up to anybody at any time and ask for help. Obviously, in the middle of a fire and a big deal, they're not going to, but, hey, this person's busy, so I'm going to go to this person. And I think that's so important if you are leading an organization, that you have to set that precedent from day one. So
everyone here has been really welcoming.
Yeah.
You've built a great culture. Yeah.
I threatened them all. Really? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, and it goes back to my time, and I think I shared this in a previous episode, is that, most people make a decision within the first 48 hours of working somewhere if they're going to be there long term or not. So that first introduction, those first couple of days are so important to make people feel welcomed. And if you've ever think about, you've gone somewhere and you feel like you're on the outside or it's very cliquish, you're like, man, I don't want to be any part of this.
Right.
And a lot of times we make those decisions in our mind subconsciously, and we may not act on them right away, but we know that place isn't a fit for us. And so the welcoming that first 48 hours is so, so important. And since I'm chatting about this, Sean Matthews actually put a comment on Joey's this morning that he was used to being thrown in the deep end of the pool,
right.
Which is good. He's used to that and able to handle that. But what I don't want to do is alienate people through that process as well. And we're starting to put people, I'll share next week on Joey's episode. We had a great customer visit. He's probably going to have a customer within, a week or so. Really good visit. So that was pretty awesome for him. And, him and I went and was able to kind of walk him through, they had a lot of hard questions. And
nice.
There was one that they asked us, we're not the guy for that. That's not what we do. And I think showing, you and Joey and Alan, like, there's certain things we are good at and there's certain things we aren't going to be good at. And we're going to share that with our customers. And just having that trust and transparency from the get-go is so important to get those relationships off on the right foot. So I'm not sure why Tiffany has a sideways laughing emoji, but she did. So probably something I said. Maybe because I said I threatened everybody,
Everybody.
Yeah.
With coffee and Chipotle.
Yep. So let's ask a couple more questions. What has been like the best thing you've seen, or the best, like, for you, for the first, week and 2.5 days, what has been the best thing so far for you?
The way your team supports each other and respects you. And the review that I got in line at a convenience store, one of your customers, I was kind of, I was talking to my friend as I was getting out of the car and walking from the gas station into the store about how I'm loving my new job and B2B is for me. Mm-hmm. And then standing in line checking out, one of your customers was like, we ship through them. We really like them. You're gonna love it there. Awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. If unprompted, you get that great recommendation. That's cool. What about, on the flip side, what could we have done better during this, first week or so?
I feel like it's really me getting used to a new pace, mm-hmm. and being at a desk and learning to not be moving all day.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's been more difficult for me than anything. But I don't know. The training is good. I think and it's the first time you're doing this. So There are places that,
We've trained a lot of people from the ground up, but the way we're doing it now,
yeah,
is definitely new and putting the spotlight on us.
I think it's good because we're running through notes and then we're kind of asking questions as we go and then filling in those notes. So then we know to add it to the next, handout, the next template.
Nice. Is there any other big surprises about the industry, about the job, anything like that?
Oh my goodness. Yes. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I had no idea that there was so much fraud in freight. Just billions of dollars a year to criminals. We're going to use it to do more criminal things. And it's not even prosecuted, which is really sad.
Yeah.
So I did connect on LinkedIn to a few, brokers that do that go after those freight frauds, because it's I think it's a big deal. It's a big deal that needs a little more traction and some.
Yep, I would totally agree.
Yeah, kind of sad.
Yeah, it really is.
But I love that we have a lot of policies to keep us safe in that. So you're running us through like how to onboard really trustable carriers and how we offload so that we don't get taken, because that's scary.
Yeah, one of the things you're going to start next week. So let's chat a little bit about that. You're actually going to work in carriers and onboarding those carriers so that you get that experience. You know what to look for, because I've seen often, you bring people into this business and you don't really train them on what a good carrier is and what a bad carrier is and what those warning signs are. And we have so many tools that, our goal really is, our agents and our employees are doing that first vetting of a carrier. When they call in, you hear, what's your MC number? Right. They pull them up in 411 and my carrier packet, and they look at those things. Hopefully they're doing more than just a glance, a quick glance and send them the packet to get them signed up. So that we're not wasting your time, because if you find a carrier that you think is good, but then, half an hour later we say, no, we can't use it for whatever reason. Now you're a half hour behind. So that's why we're going to have you and the other two folks actually go through that process of onboarding and, basically doing the job of carrier compliance. And Janet has a shout out for carrier compliance.
Yeah, they do.
B2B Rocks. We got I know that's and second and symbol supposed to be the two. So at B2B Rocks. And I agree, Janet, carrier compliance is amazing. And it's a hard job because everybody's load is hot and everybody's load is the most important load. And, but you might have 10 of those that you're dealing with. So learning how to juggle that. And I think that'll help as, in the future when you're moving freight in that pace of like, man, I can't move fast enough type stuff. So, going through that training process is going to be huge for you. So
nice.
That's awesome. So what are you most looking forward to, through this process on your journey here?
Just learning as much as I can.
Yeah.
So because there's a lot to know, and I mean, to best, do my job and make some traction here, I've got a lot to learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And one of the things that I shared with Joey yesterday was, because we went to that customer and I said, hey, get our customer set up packet, type the email, and then let's talk about that, because I'm a big believer, and we've shared a little bit about this, about I learn by doing, and there's only so much value in what I would call classroom style learning of lecturing. Mm-hmm. Because after 15, 20 minutes, I know I'm on to the next thing mentally. And, so with Joey, for that example, what I said is write the email, send it to me, and we'll chat about, what I would do differently, or maybe some things that we can point out, how we are different, even in sending our customer packet. Because if we just say, hey, here's the packet, sign and send it back, we missed an opportunity to provide great service, educate our future customer on how we do business and why they should do business with us. So you guys aren't going to be on an island with that. So if it's emails, if it's phone calls, we're going to talk about those and give you guys support during that process as well. So I haven't done this with the other two, but what are some questions that maybe you have for me to put me on the spot?
What is your favorite thing about your job?
It's probably a couple of things. I think the variety and the constant challenges, and there's not always one way to solve a problem in transportation. And that's what's exciting to me, is because you can use, there's so many variables, right? Depending on the time of year with weather, depending on the type of commodity you're shipping, depending on how urgent the customer needs it. There's just so many variables. And if you like to problem solve, that allows you to continuously challenge yourself. Like, how would I do this differently? Or coming up with 2 or 3 options to present to the customer. So here's one way. I know the way we've normally done it, but hey, if we do this, and we have maybe a little bit more lead time or a little bit of flexibility, we can save you some money. And, so that the variations of what we can do and the resources that we have available, I think, are a lot of fun. And then the second part of that is, I feel like I'm a coach at heart, because I really love to see people find great success. And, there's a lot of opportunities to do that, especially with this program, but just, whether it's agents, whether it's employees, whatever they are, if we can help them achieve more than they ever thought possible, that's a win in my book. So,
Awesome.
Great question. Any other questions you had for me?
What's been the hardest thing through just learning the business and then keeping up with the times and the changes?
Hardest thing, man. I think every market is different. I would say, relevant to this market, it's just been, it's been a challenging market to stay on the forefront of expenses, because during COVID, rates were inflated. People were, you could do some things, and you could spend more money because you were making more money. But I've always, and this sticks in my head, from an early age working for my dad. He says, any fool can make money in good times, but it's the best business people are the ones that are able to hold on to it and last through the lean times. And so during this time, we're in a good position. Luckily, we've been in business for 20 plus years, and we're debt free, but it still doesn't come without challenges of managing expenses. Trying to bring on the best technology that is actually going to help move the needle for us and not just raise our expenses and give us another thing to do. So it's just managing that expenses versus the value of what maybe a potential vendor is trying to give to us. Because I've looked at a lot of products the last 6 months that I think are great, but they just don't fit who we are as a company. And if I just said, hey, that's a great product, and brought it on, I'm just inflating our cost. And that hurts everybody. I think that's one of the things as a leader of a business, that we have such a great responsibility to make sure that we are protecting people's job, not only today, but well into the future. And I think a lot of people, they miss that point. And that's why you see a lot of companies go out of business or come back with a different MC number. We've been fortunate enough to have one MC number over 20 plus years. And if you've been in the business more than 2 days, you know why that's important.
Mm-hmm.
So great question. So I can't forget this part. So we got to put you on the spot a little bit on the role play on cold calling. So you just called me, and I'm a director of transportation, and I've got freight that you want, and you've done your research, and you call me. So, hi, this is Cale.
Hey, Cale, this is Crystal with B2B Transportation. How you doing?
Good. What's up?
Good. I'm just calling to see why you're not doing business with us. I haven't seen you on our roster. What's going on?
I don't even know who you guys are. So why would I be doing business with you?
We are the leading name in transportation. We are building relationships through our quick deliveries and our 15-day payment day times. I don't know.
Hey, that's a great start.
Why aren't they doing business with us? Yeah. I don't know.
I think that's a great start. So, I think the biggest thing is saying it with confidence, and you did a really good job with that. So, so great job on that. You were lucky enough to have me do that twice to the others. But I think you did a really good job. And the one thing I've shared with everybody in this is they don't know what you're going to say. Let's see, Sean, I'll give you a shout out. So he says you're lethal with the script. She's charming. So
thank you.
great feedback, Sean. I really appreciate that. So yeah, good job. I forgot what I was saying, but anyways. All right, so we're over time already. We've got, again, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We're seeing a lot of great feedback. Really appreciate the support. Every time we do one of these episodes, we get people messaging us and saying they love it. And so if you have suggestions, one of the things that I'm always open to is how do we get better? And so if you see things that you love and hey, do more of that, let us know in the comments. And if you things that fell flat, say, yeah, that didn't really work, and we're okay with that. So Joey said that was good. So appreciate that, Joey. I know you weren't talking about me, you were talking about Crystal. So
I need to know all the ways that we benefit our customer, and that I can fill in those blanks.
Yeah.
Because I know we have, a great reputation and we'll take care of them. I just need to know how to convey that.
Yeah. And we're going to get there. So, so as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we're going to wrap up here, but freightbrokerdude.com, again, 10% of all proceeds, profits, whatever you want to call it, is going to support Broker Carrier Summit and bringing carriers to those events. So appreciate support there. All right. So if you are looking to buy and you have your cart full, I'm going to put a discount code on the screen. It's $50 off for any order of $100 or more. The caveat is it's only good for 5 people. So there we go. 5 people can enter baby50 at checkout. $50 off an order of $100 or more on freightbrokerdude.com.
I'm getting online.
Crystal's like, you better have your cart full already. So
yeah.
Again, just appreciate everybody's support. Wayne said you're doing awesome, so that's pretty cool. I'll put that banner back up there.
Thank you, Wayne.
People didn't get it. Any last words for our audience?
Thank you so much, Cale, for being a great host, and thank you to everybody who tuned in to join us.
All right, thank you guys. We'll see you Friday with Joey and episode 2. Talk to you soon.